Hello, all CATESOL participants. Thank you for the opportunity to present in this spring conference. My name is Poniesta Milani, and I'm a PhD candidate in TESOL in the University of Central Florida. Today, I would like to give a short presentation on tips and suggestions to maximize the use of online learning sources and platforms as a preparations for the internet-based TOEFL test. So you must have been really familiar with the TOEFL test. It is known as a standardized test that measures a test taker's mastery of the English language. The test is intended mainly for students looking to attend a university or a graduate school program in an English-speaking country such as US, Australia, or Britain, and as a part of the school requirements. As we all know, the TOEFL test focuses on how English is used in academic setting, and this is what makes it different from the other proficiency test, TOEIC, which focuses on the use of general English for international communications. There are several reasons for using online learning sources and platforms. The first one is, of course, due to the growing trend in remote learning amidst COVID-19 pandemic. Also, we have growing trend in online educations as a result of vast development of informational technology. And next, there's always need for TOEFL tests as accepted standardized proficiency test, and therefore test takers need to make preparations before taking the test. For EFL learners, online materials can fill the need for natural target language input, especially for EFL context learners. And also online sources can offer more variety of learning materials. Now there are several types of TOEFL tests that we all know. The most popular one is probably the internet-based test or IBT TOEFL. This test measures all skills of reading, listening, speaking, and writing. There is also a computer-based TOEFL test, or known as CBT, and one more is paper-based test, or PBT, which measure only reading, listening, and English grammar. So this presentation today will focus on internet-based TOEFL, most likely. It will provide some suggestions of online learning sources and platforms that can be used by learners or EFL learners in particular to maximize their preparations on all skills in the TOEFL test, including but are not limited to reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Alright, before we look further on what to prepare for the test, it is important to know what to expect from the test. So if we look at the format of the test, we can see the test structure, which skill tested first and which skills tested next, okay? And also we can see how many questions are expected in each of the sections, how long does it take for each of the sections. It is also essential to know the types of questions or tasks for each of the sections. What types of questions will appear on reading, listening, speaking, and also writing. Okay. So, for example, I have here in reading and listening, most likely the type of questions is multiple choice. And the types of topics will be range, okay, all academic topics. It can be economics, can be engineering, it can be anything. In speaking and writing, however, there are independent tasks and integrated tasks. The integrated task you have to be careful of. It can be combinations of reading, listening, and speaking, or reading, listening, and writing. Okay, so this is probably the most challenging part of the TOEFL test because it's integrated, all skills. Now let's have a look at some suggestions for online learning sources and platforms that can support learners in developing their language skill as a preparations to the TOEFL test. Okay. Right, we start with the reading tips. In preparation, learners are expected to read complex text such as those found in newspaper or magazines, and these can be found online. So we now have online magazines and online newspaper, for example, like New York Times, The Atlantic, The Economist, Discover, and Nature. Next is to choose the right reading strategies that works well with the learners. So in this web page, there are 4 possible strategies given in the guide to TOEFL reading passages. So learners can review these strategies and try them out. They can try these strategies with the practice sets that they can also access online through the ETS TOEFL web page. Okay. In addition to these strategies, learners might want to practice some sub-skills, such as searching for evidence in the passages. So learners can practice this individually. They can use passages and question sets, which are also available from the ETS and Prep Scholar TOEFL webpage. Okay, so these two are, I would highly recommend these two because they have a lot of materials dealing with the TOEFL test preparation. Okay, moving on now to the tips for improving listening skill. So quite similar to reading, the preparations for the listening test can be done by watching and listening to English news. Okay, so there are many English news available online nowadays. We can access CNN, BBC, VOA Learning English, BBC Learning English, or have listened to some English podcasts that are available through language learning website, Fluent U. So you might, maybe some of you have heard about Fluent U before. So this web page provides a list of several podcasts, English podcasts that can be accessed for free by learners, okay, of all levels. So for example, here they have elementary level, specifically for elementary learners. Okay, so all types of podcasts. So this is a very good material, listening material for EFL learners. Alright, next, while listening to podcasts, learners can try to listen to different English accents. So in TOEFL listening, as we all know, most speakers will have a North American accent, but there will be at least one non-North American accent, which could be British, Australian, or New Zealand accent. Okay. Next, for speaking, learners can practice talking to native speakers of English. I would recommend several popular websites that offer video chat services such as italki, Verbal Planet, and Livelingual. Let's have a look at one of them. Okay. It takes time sometimes. Alright, so in this web page, learners can sign up and log into their account, and they can have connections with many language teachers around the world, and they can connect with them. Okay, they can chat with them. So in that way, they can practice their speaking ability with the true native speakers of English. Alright, so to practice TOEFL speaking, learners can record their responses to TOEFL speaking topics. Okay, speaking topics are available also. Learners can access Prep Scholar TOEFL, or they can also go to the ETS webpage to see some samples of speaking topics for TOEFL IBT. So by recording themselves, learners can evaluate their performance, their speaking performance, okay? And they can try to talk the whole time, to use the remaining time that they have in order to elaborate on a point. They can explain additional point, or they can conclude responses with a brief closing remark or summary. And to do so, learners can try some of the TOEFL speaking templates. Sorry, where is it? Okay, TOEFL speaking templates. So again, Prep Scholar is a good web page here. So it has abundant of speaking, TOEFL materials that learners can explore. Integrated, independent, okay? Yeah, so learners might want to check this. And also they can listen to sample of high score responses, okay? Provided by ETS through this YouTube video, so they can compare their own performance that they recorded with what is expected in high scoring responses. Let's check if the link works. Okay, good. So yeah, so this is one example. Okay. Yes, and this is the second one, speaking for questions 3 and 5, also available in YouTube video, and also for question 4 and 6. Okay. All right. Next, for writing. So for writing, learners can practice by keeping a journal. There is also a good free website which is called Lang 8 that can be used, that can be accessed by learners. They can, in this web page, they can post their diary entries. So through this website, learners may have the opportunity to have the native English speakers correcting their grammar and offer feedback for their writings. All they have to do is making an account, and then they can get connected with the community of native speakers around the world. So it depends on which language that they would like to learn, to share with. Okay, let's go back. And next is to practice writing with time. This is important because IBT TOEFL is all timed. So learners can practice using high quality TOEFL writing prompts or writing topics that are available from either the Prep Scholar website or from the ETS webpage. Okay. All right. Next, yeah. So as we can see, Prep Scholar also provide an extensive of 54 word lists of transitions in their guide to TOEFL writing templates. So if we click on this and we're going to Prep Scholar webpage, there are several transition words that learners can memorize in order to improve their writing skill. So these are transition words or linking words that are commonly used in writing exercise or TOEFL writing that can really help learners to improve their writing skill. Okay, so finally, don't forget to look at sample of high scoring responses that is also provided in the ETS webpage, and this is in the form of PDF. And to perform well in all of these skills, learners need to have good vocabulary knowledge. So learners can particularly have a solid grasp of high-level academic vocabulary. So they can start by reviewing TOEFL vocabulary list like this. They can look at this list from Prep Scholar or ETS webpage, and they can start by reviewing this list. Alright, so I think the best way to study vocabulary is to use flashcards. So these can be made of paper, or learners can try to create digital cards using this program, Anki. Anki is a free computer program to create, download, and practice flashcards. So the program will look like this, and learners will be able to create their own flashcards based on the list of vocabulary that they have. And then after they have them created, they can download or they can practice the cards through the program, through Anki. right? So in addition to all of these tips, learners might want to improve their note-taking skill, and this may include writing down some of the keywords or phrases in the speaking sections, or they can underline the important words and phrases in a piece of text in the reading sections, and they can also make an outline for speech in the speaking sections, or creating an essay outline for their writing. Okay, I hope these presentations can provide knowledge and good suggestions for EFL learners who are going to take a TOEFL test. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can contact me to this email address. Okay, once again, thank you and have a wonderful conference.